Callie. What's a cool name for a cool cat? Do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. Oh, come on. This is why Goose is so much cooler. Hey everybody, it's Kevin from Twin Talk, and today we'll be talking all about the Marvels. Stick around to the end of the episode to see how our drawing of The Marvels came out, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel for more content. The Marvels is the 2023 sequel to Captain Marvel, starring Brie Larson, Iman Vellani, and Teyonah Parris, directed by Nia DaCosta, and no one's in a rush to see this movie. There was maybe 3 heads in the theater on Friday opening night. There's absolutely no promotion for this movie. There's absolutely no anticipation for this movie. It's a little sad to see the state of Marvel right now, but I still gave it a chance. I have to say I absolutely loathed this movie. Hated it. But we'll start with the good. We'll get into the good first before we rip apart this thing. By far, the standout of the movie is Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan. I started her show on Disney Plus, but I fell off just because I wasn't too invested. I'm not the demographic for the character. I'm not a young teenage girl. I'm not of the culture, so I just didn't really have the time to finish it. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch it, but from what I saw from that, I really liked her character. I really liked her as a personality, and that just really shines more throughout this film. She has so much great energy. She's almost like annoyingly cheerful and positive. She's so lovable and so cute. She's a great actress. I really like her in this role, and she really carries the weight of the film. She's the most entertaining part of the film by far. Her family is so damn funny. Her mom is so ridiculous. She's like, Kamala. Every freaking scene she's in, she's just weighing her teenage daughter down. Her teenage daughter just wants to be, twinsies and besties with Captain Marvel, which is really cool to see. That was a lot of fun flavor in the movie of, what would you do? How would you react if you were able to meet and interact and save the world with your favorite superhero that you're absolutely obsessed over? An angle that really could have sustained a lot of the film, I feel, even further. Her interaction and banter with Captain Marvel, because they're so complete opposites. Maybe almost more of a mentoring, tutoring situation of Miss Marvel with Captain Marvel, and kind of leaning into that of what does it mean to be a hero. But the trio was really good. I liked Monica Rambeau, and I have to say I really liked Brie Larson in this movie too as Captain Marvel. Her look alone and just the way she carried herself really does feel like she is this character, and it feels like that she's really ripped off the comic book pages, even just visually. I had a lot of fun seeing them kind of work with each other and learn from each other, their different power sets, and kind of figuring out this whole switching up of their powers. That was probably my favorite scene, is when they're learning that in the beginning of the movie, when you got, I think, Missy Elliott's playing. It's like, rat-ta-ta-ta, rat-ta-ta-ta-ta. That was so much fun, dynamic energy. It felt very graphic novel, and I really liked that flair they had going with that. It was really cool to see, too, Monica Rambeau exploring her power set a little bit more as well, learning to fly, her phasing. It was nice to see a little bit more of an expansion of her character, especially because she has such a major tie to Aunt Carol, that whole family dynamic. I was glad to see them kind of interact too. Now that she's an adult, that would make a big difference in their relationship, which kind of helps move me into the negatives of the movie. There's a lot of them. I'll start with that. It just feels like such a poor sequel to Captain Marvel. I really liked that movie. I thought it was very solid overall, but here it just feels like Captain Marvel's kind of in the sidelines. There's not much more of a story arc here, and if there is, it's very poorly handled, because we've known her since the 90s. She's had how much time to grow as a character, to gain her memories back, to learn to deal with others. For God's sake, she's a freaking Avenger now at this point, and she's still not getting along really with even just these 2 other characters. The Skrulls, she's doing a horrible job finding them a home planet, even with Nick Fury. Very poorly handled. I have to say, if I was a Skrull, I would be pissed off, just like Secret Invasion was. And that's another thing too. The Skrulls feel so irrelevant in this movie. They're just background characters. The Kree society, just extras on set, dressed up. It feels almost like a low-budget Netflix film involving superheroes. This feels nothing like Marvel quality, and that's an issue too, is the state of Marvel. Like we said, it's a quantity over quality issue. They're just pushing out cookie-cutter, formulaic stories that are so wild just for the sake of being wild and seeing what sticks. A lot of it is not working. This whole Disney Plus streaming services, this homework almost of, if you didn't see the first movie, if you didn't see WandaVision, if you didn't see Miss Marvel, if you didn't see Secret Invasion, that's 4 movies and television shows, hours and hours of content that you have to kind of be caught up on and aware of before you can even really be engaged in this story, because I don't think they did a well enough of a job of getting any new audience members that haven't seen any of that and having this self-contained story where it's really inspiring, entertaining enough. It's just really not that great of a job. And honestly, if you take out Kamala Khan, the whole movie is pretty much unbearable to watch. Even with that whole family dynamic of Monica Rambeau feeling slighted by Carol, that yeah, you've abandoned us, you said you'd be right back, and it's been decades, and my mom's dead, and you were supposed to be this close family member, and you've just kind of abandoned us. And I felt like they could have even leaned a little bit more into that as well. And Carol in general just feels like a mess. So hopefully by a third film of Captain Marvel or an Avengers movie or maybe a Marvel sequel, I don't know if it even will get that, because to be frank, this project shouldn't have been greenlit in the first place. I don't think anyone's asking for it really. I don't think it does a good enough job even bridging the TV shows to the movies to what's next to come. It's just all kind of purposeless. And speaking of being absolutely purposeless, this villain, this goddamn cartoon character, I was so happy this person died. For about 40 minutes into the film, I didn't know the character's name. I didn't know the character's origins. I didn't know the character's motivations. It's just all so shallow. Even her look, the suit's wearing her. She looks ridiculous. I don't ever want to see this villain again, and I'm glad that we're not seeing this villain again. I guess they kind of wanted to do like a female accuser, like Ronan, because she had that like Cosmorod or whatever, the hammer, but it was just so identityless. And that's what I'll say, is that this Kree society, last time we saw them, they were pretty much villains because they were being brainwashed by this AI intelligence. They were at war with the Skrulls, who were just looking for a home planet. They were refugees scattered across because of this war, this Kree-Skrull war. I wanted to see more of the impacts of the Kree, because they were viewed as this like tyrannical, imperialistic, almost like selfish agendaed civilization. And not everyone's bad, obviously, but I wanted to see more of the impacts of war on even their society. And Carol kind of being caught in the middle of this war as a human, turned Kree, involved with the Skrulls and all this. It was just so many political things that could have been intelligently weaved into the storylines, and it's just so subpar. These stakes are meant to be high, that oh, this civilization Hala is dying off as a planet because of war, which wasn't even because of the Skrulls. It was because of a civil war after what Carol did. So I really don't even feel bad for them almost, but it's also, it's like, show the impact of that, show the impact of war. Cut out a scene of ridiculous song and dance, an Aladdin the musical scene. Get it out of here. As much as I love Goose and I love the cat scenes and the expansion of the Flurkins, you can't just have scenes being bizarre and weird and funny just for the sake of being weird and funny. It didn't further the story at all. So cut out some of that. You could shave off 10, maybe even 15 minutes of meaningless plots to add an actual plot of showing maybe the Kree civilization children dying because there's a drought, because the sun is dying out, because there's no water, because there's no food, because of the behaviors of war. Show that. Make us care a little bit more. And even the movie's runtime, it's only an hour and 45 minutes. You could have even added some of those scenes to make just a little bit more of an impact on the audience, to care about the villain, to care about the hero and their consequences, and the story arc of trying to right their wrongs. Because I did like how they showed a different perspective of that villain, of seeing Carol, because in her mind she was doing things right and had good intentions of taking out the Supreme Intelligence, but it had consequences that she never really intended. So I liked seeing that kind of stuck in the middle dichotomy of this character, where she feels almost guilty and responsible. But between the writing and the directing, it's just so mediocre, nothing really sticks. Even a top-tier actor of Samuel L. Jackson, reprising his role as Nick Fury, who had such a great relationship with Carol in the first film. He's just in the background. He's absolutely phoning it in, given nothing to do here. It feels so out of character. There's really nothing about this movie that's pushing the envelope of creativity. There's just nothing impressive being done here. Now let's talk about the end credit scenes. There's two of them. One played for humor, and I really liked that because it was funny seeing this, like, speaking of Nick Fury, you know, the Avengers Initiative. I liked how Kamala Khan was really setting up a young Avengers team. And it's inevitable because we need the audience to grow, this younger generation now coming into Disney and Marvel. We want to keep this legacy going. And I like the Young Avengers in the comic books with some of the characters that we've seen so far in the MCU, between Wiccan, Kate Bishop, and so on, that can be pretty impactful. But before getting into all that, I know they have to grow it, but so far, this young cast of Avengers hasn't really grabbed anyone. Ironheart, Cassie Lang is kind of iffy. Wanda's sons, we haven't seen enough of. We need them to kind of grow up to be the characters that we know. Hulkling, I don't even think they've mentioned yet. I haven't even watched or bothered to watch She-Hulk. I'll just YouTube the highlights of the Daredevil scenes. Other than that, Kamala is a great leader of this young, energetic franchise. I do look forward to it. I just really hope that they make us care about these characters a little bit more going forward. Now, this other end credit sequence, as much as I got chills seeing the character involved and seeing the franchise involved, it feels so shoehorned. We get Beast from the X-Men. He looks so CGI'd. Is it the X-Men door from the Fox films? Is this a Marvel MCU X-Men? We don't know because it's a wormhole, right? Monica is now on the other side of this alternate reality. How does that play out? Because now her mom is alive in this one, which will be really cool to see that relationship explored as well. But apparently she's an X-Men member. I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But for something that should be so well set up between the Multiverse of Madness, No Way Home, Loki. They've had so many avenues, Marvel, to expand this idea of the multiverse and set up the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. And this is the route you go with. It's just almost like it feels like a Kevin Feige Hail Mary of just trying to stay relevant because there's some stormy seas right now as a Marvel fan. But I am still optimistic. I am still excited, especially with the X-Men. Hopefully the ship can right the course a little bit. The negatives outweighed the good here, so I unfortunately have to give this thing a 4.5 out of 10. I was almost leaning to a 4, but Kamala Khan I really did have so much fun with, and the X-Men cameo kind of builds me up a little bit more. What did you guys think of the Marvels? Let us know in the comments below. Anyways, that about wraps up today's episode of Twin Talk. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below to join the discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you next time. Peace!